Good day to all the distinguished participants and speakers who have joined us here today. It is with great pleasure that I would like to welcome you to the launch of the UNFCCC CASTT Adaptation Academy for the African, Latin American, Caribbean regions, which is being organized as part of New York Climate Week. My name is Bava Dungana from the UN Climate Change Secretariat, and I will be moderating this event today. I would like to start the event by giving the floor to our first speaker, Mr. Donald Cooper, the Director of the Transparency Division at the UN Climate Change Secretariat. Mr. Cooper, you have the floor.
Good, whatever time of day it is, to all of you. I noticed that for some reason I drew the short straw, and I have the shortest amount of time in which to celebrate with you. However, I do get to be the first one to welcome you to the launch of the Adaptation Academy. I remember back in 2016, when the Paris Agreement was agreed, we thought of ways in which to make it practical for developing countries to be able to fully participate and take advantage of all of the transparency components under the Convention, Protocol, and Paris Agreement. We launched the Climate Action and Support for Transparency Training Program, or CASTT, and started small in just addressing greenhouse gas inventories. The need was tremendous and the participation was quite unbelievable. This greatly expanded to include the Enhanced Transparency Framework, and now, based on strong party demand, is expanding to include adaptation. The institutions who are involved are world-class. The Alliance for Global Water Adaptation, the Asian Institute of Technology, Delft Institute for Water Education, Korea Environment Institute, and the Oregon State University, who not only bring their expertise, but also are leveraging others. The amount of growth that has happened over the last 5 or 6 years is quite extraordinary. And it has adapted to meet exactly what developing countries have been calling for. This expansion rate gives me such hope for what's going to happen over the next 5 years. The Secretariat is very pleased to be a part of this, to stimulate capacity building exercises that are launched by institutions and governments, showing that the knock-on effect is real and alive in combating climate change. We wish you every success, and I want to give you my wholehearted congratulations and thanks for your strong effort and the way in which you have risen to the occasion. Leadership is what we need, and leadership is what you are giving. Thank you very much. Back to you, Baba.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those remarks, Don, for your kind words. I would now like to invite Dr. John Matthews, Executive Director, Alliance for Global Water Adaptation, for his opening remarks. Dr. Matthews, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Bava. In January of 2019, I sat down with my colleagues at CGE in Bonn, following a successful experiment to provide intensive adaptation training for national focal points. Over 3 workshops across 3 continents, we met with representatives from over 100 countries to talk about what good adaptation looks like, how to plan and implement strategically, and how to build resilience to climate impacts we already face as well as those to come. We spoke, but we also listened and watched. The topic on that cold January day 2.5 years ago in Bonn was simple. Had we done enough? And the answer was simple too, we had not. All three of us were painfully aware that national parties needed significant support to implement effective adaptation, not simply receiving the science of climate impacts or receiving additional funding, but hearing how the best among us globally are actively responding to and anticipating climate change, to implement, to share insight for resilient action. We needed solutions that matched the challenges. As others will discuss later in the session, we also saw that this vision required a water-sensitive approach. In words I heard in 2009 at COP15 in an IPCC session, the language of climate change is also the language of water. And today, I would add, we must become fluent in that language in order to become proficient in climate action. In trying to explain why we need the Adaptation Academy, I have a simple proposition. The Paris Agreement rests almost wholly on the NDCs, and the NDCs themselves rest on the small number of staff tasked with delivering them. I've met them as people, friends and colleagues, and those individuals and teams are our audience and partners today. Rarely in our species' history has so much depended on so few and with so little recognition. And until today, no formal training has existed for such a critical need around adaptation. Next week, we begin this next stage. 150 participants from over 65 countries will gather, not to learn passively from remote instructors, but to build a community of learning practitioners with individual and shared purpose, to find growth and prosperity even in a time of uncertainty and rapid change. More hands are also necessary as we move forward, and this launch is also an invitation to you. Speaking on behalf of myself, the AGWA Network, and my close colleague in AGWA, Alex Mariner, as well as the German government through BAMZ and GIZ, I am grateful that we have come this far, that we are walking through the Adaptation Academy's open door together. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those remarks. And with that, I would like to now invite our key partners in this Adaptation Academy. I would now like to give the floor to Dr. Rebecca Johnson, President of the Oregon State University, for her remarks. Dr. Johnson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Bava, and thanks to each of you for attending today. I'm really pleased to join this global event to launch the Climate Action and Support Transparency Training Adaptation Academy. Oregon State University is honored to be one of 3 higher education institutions globally to help guide this training initiative for the coming 5 years. And Oregon State is especially pleased to collaborate with the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Alliance for Global Water Adaptation. There's no doubt that climate change is one of our planet's most pressing problems, and it must be addressed with scientific research and the full resolve of government leaders. The Adaptation Academy Training Initiative is well positioned to support governments throughout the world in meeting the goals established under the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. And Oregon State is well positioned to contribute our support given our globally recognized array of climate scientists and history of finding solutions to grand challenges. Faculty across our university are committed to advancing climate science knowledge and its application. In fact, climate science is represented in all aspects of the university's land-grant mission of teaching, research, and outreach. Oregon State faculty regularly secure federal and state grants to address many different aspects of the climate challenge, whether it's sustaining agricultural production amid diminishing water supplies, predicting low oxygen zones in the ocean that impact fisheries, measuring the pace at which tidewater glaciers are melting, or modeling wildfire behavior. OSU researchers work every day to find solutions. Oregon State is also a leader in advancing and applying science related to the intersection of climate change, environmental justice, public policy, and public health. OSU's faculty are working to develop a new curriculum for the Adaptation Academy that will draw on the university's expertise in the physical, social, and biological sciences related to climate and water. This curriculum will focus on topics of high priority for the Americas as Oregon State trains representatives from North, Central, and South America, as well as Caribbean countries. Oregon State is grateful for the support of the UNFCCC to help advance solutions to climate change. We are pleased to join the IHE Delft Institute for Water Education in the Netherlands and the Asian Institute of Technology in Thailand to collaborate on this global training initiative and enter into this memorandum of understanding. As president of Oregon State University, I'm committed and hopeful that our many united efforts will advance solutions to the climate change risks that impact our world. Thank you very much, and back to you, Baba.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Johnson, for your remarks. I would now like to invite Dr. Eddie Moore, Rector of IHE Delft, for his remarks. Dr. Moores, you have the floor.
Thank you, Baba. And I would like to fully support what has been said already. But I would also like to stress the fact that we as IHE Delft, working primarily on capacity development on the water sector, are very happy that with the adaptation part, where we think water is a quite important part in, we can help, hopefully, because we strongly believe that action on the ground is needed and urgently needed. And to facilitate that action on the ground, we think it's important that there is a ground where you combine planning, where you combine policy frameworks, where you also integrate over different ministries and look at what plans are required to really implement also the ideas that are already depicted in those plans. To make those ideas, sometimes maybe we can even call them dreams, but make them happen, we think that implementation is key. And to facilitate this implementation, we think that with the Adaptation Academy, we can help to make a step forward. I'm very proud that as IHE Delft, we can collaborate with our partners in this initiative. And I do hope that together, but also with the participants, because I think that the participants are maybe the most important parts in here, that with those participants, we are able to make a step forward. I'm really looking forward to see how together we can make this step. And I would be quite happy if we are able to share the ideas and innovations that we have available with all the participants within the program. I'm also quite sure that with this collaboration and also with, I think, the peer-to-peer learning that is also envisioned within the program, we will able to, as a community, to gain new insights and also find out that there are new steps that can be made. And that's what I'm hoping for with this academy. So I would like to thank all the people that have contributed to make this a reality very much. And like I said, hopefully the first students will also be able to help us later on to spread the word and also to create more partners so that we are sure that we can share this with as many people as possible. So thank you very much. And hopefully we will meet quite soon again. But I do hope that that will then also be on the implementation side of what we think is most important in the adaptation plans that are there. Thank you very much, Baba.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Moores, for your remarks. I would now like to invite Mr. OVAIS SARMAD, Deputy Executive Secretary of the UN Climate Change Secretariat, to give his remarks on maintaining the momentum of Paris, linking ambition to action. Mr. SARMAD, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Baba. Thank you. Really appreciate and very pleased to be here. And I'd like to start by thanking all these colleagues who have spoken before and for your engagement, for your commitment, for working together with us in addressing, we are all in it together, an existential issue, and the progress that has been made and continues to be made. So we need to stay the course, and really pleased that you are with us on this journey. So with that, I'm very pleased to join you today for this important launch of the CASTT Adaptation Academy for Latin America, the Caribbean, and the African regions. Today, we meet at a very important juncture. In the past month, we have seen several crucial reports that have been launched that highlights the importance of urgency in acting for climate change. In particular, the last month's report from the IPCC was unequivocal. Recent changes in the climate are widespread, rapid, and intensifying. These changes are already impacting every region on Earth, including right here in and around Bonn. And the report also shows that unless there are rapid, sustained, and large-scale reductions of greenhouse gas emissions, including carbon dioxide, methane, and others, the goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees will be beyond reach. 1 week ago, we in the Secretariat released the NDC synthesis report, which I'm sure you must have all read or taken note of, which assessed the combined impact of the national climate plans. It shows that while some nations are making progress, but unfortunately the data indicates that overall greenhouse gas emission numbers are moving in the wrong direction. For the group of 113 parties with new or updated NDCs, greenhouse gas emissions are projected to decrease by 12% in 2030 compared to 2010. However, the NDCs available for all 191 parties taken together imply a sizable increase in the GHG emissions in 2030 compared to 2010. And listen to this, that shows an increase of 16%. And you would have noted several references to this kind of trajectory, wrong trajectory, at the recent UN General Assembly statements by several world leaders. Let there be no doubt, the impacts of missing the Paris Agreement's goal of 1.5 degree will likely result in widespread death and destruction throughout the world. As recent weather emergencies show, no nation, no region, no country is immune from the impacts. And this is an important point. Nations can revisit their national climate action plans at any point. In fact, it is a necessity, and we look forward to such commitments at COP26, and we are working towards that. To achieve a higher level of emission reductions, there must also be a provision of support to vulnerable nations, another cornerstone of Paris Agreement. While support in terms of financial resources and technology development and transfer are going to be key to realize enhanced ambitions, capacity building is also a key enabler for enhanced action. And this is where the CASTT, that's a very interesting abbreviation, comes into play. The Climate Action and Support Transparency Training Program, launched in 2017, represents a concrete effort by the Secretariat to enhance the capacity of developing countries to adapt to climate change consequences. The Enhanced Transparency Framework, ETF, provides the process by which nations gather relevant data and information to keep track of progress towards meeting their goals of Paris Agreement. The process is a journey, not a destination, and it goes beyond the submission of biennial reports by countries. On the longer term, this is about establishing the necessary institutional arrangements to allow countries to collect relevant information and identify areas of opportunity for ambitious climate action. I would like to highlight that transparency is not just about mitigation or adaptation strategies. It also refers to transparency of their means of implementation, including matters of financial support for developing nations. And it all comes together in building the trust and confidence in the system and among the nations. Our collective and ongoing journey is to keep our planet safe from the worst impacts of climate change. I cannot emphasize enough how much we at the UN Climate Change Secretariat value the support from our partners. Such is the case today for our partnership with the Oregon State University Institute of Hydraulic Engineering, Delft, and the Alliance for Global Water Adaptation. Thank you very much, very sincerely, from the bottom of our hearts, for your engagement, for your support and contributions. Each of your institutions bring unique expertise and regional experience to this training, and I'm confident that they will significantly contribute to improving the technical capacities in many developing countries. The benefits of this type of training program are very clear, and I'd like to mention 4 of the key ones. First, the training program recognizes that developing countries are at different starting points, especially with regards to the different levels of adaptation assessments. Second, it draws on the knowledge and experience of the vast array of climate change experts to develop the competence required to take transformative climate action. Third, the training will equip participants with the necessary know-how to systemically prepare and report on their assessments. And fourth, and perhaps the most important, This program will help establish a community of practice on adaptation action. On behalf of UN Climate Change Secretariat, I extend our sincere appreciations to your efforts. We are excited to support this program, and we look forward to working with you in this pivotal year and beyond. Together, we need to make the promise of the Paris Agreement a reality. And I once again thank all of you, and I hope as many of you will be coming to Glasgow, and look forward to seeing you there in person. In the meantime, stay safe, and wish you all the best. Thank you very much, Bawa. Back to you.
Thank you very much, OVAIS, for those remarks. I would now like to invite Mr. HENK OVINK, a special envoy for international water affairs from the Netherlands, for his remarks on water's key role in climate adaptation. Mr. OVINK, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Planning-wise, you're more early, so I'm still in the train. I'm sorry for that, but I'm with you. That is also why I wear the mask. It's adaptive, you could say, to that matter. I want to congratulate you all, UNFCCC and the 3 universities and partners, but especially AGWA, for pulling this off, in my words. Perhaps not so diplomatic, but I think that is pretty much true. This is a massive effort for the world. We've seen and witnessed around the world the impacts of climate change only increasing. And while we should not keep our eyes off the ball of 1.5, but reading the IPCC report 1.6 or 1.7, the impacts of climate change demand action now. Adaptation is as important as mitigation. And we lag behind as a world when it comes to our investments on adaptation, but we also definitely lag behind in that understanding of adaptation. This adaptation can help us leapfrog towards a more sustainable future. Investing in adaptation means also investing in mitigation, curbing climate, making us more resilient, the most vulnerable first. Confucius once said, the essence of knowledge is to have it, then you also have to use it. But to be able to use it, you need a capacity. And it's important that local knowledge is enhanced across the world in the most vulnerable places first, to encourage local people to take informed action, make their countries, their cities, their community more resilient towards climate change. Working on knowledge and on capacity is vital for adaptation and mitigation, dealing with the consequences of climate. AGWA, together with UNFCCC, took this initiative. I want to thank the organization of joining this initiative and being able to execute it. It's crucial to develop more curriculums that aim at educating professionals working on the NDCs and the National Adaptation Plan. All signatories to the Paris Agreement have agreed to facilitate effective universal participation of all parties in the enhanced transparency framework. Climate change reporting support, which includes enhancement, expertise, and capacity building of national experts, should be provided to developing countries. Therefore, the Netherlands, the Dutch government, financially supports this initiative, but also politically supports this initiative in the capacity to be able to be a start in something that we can scale and replicate across the world. It's important that developing countries are able to conduct vulnerability and adaptation assessments. Knowing the facts and knowing the vulnerabilities are the basis of climate adaptation measures. The starting point for an integrated national plan to make countries and communities more resilient and less vulnerable to climate. This academy is the necessary first step in helping a country, a community, a city to prepare for the changing climate. It is also a first line of defense and an opportunity to leapfrog and progress. The second step is to develop the National Adaptation Plan, a locally based plan. Adaptation is locally led. That is the basis for implementation of projects, programs, and setting up pipelines that will make the world more resilient. Being well informed, making progress, and having the knowledge and capacity also brings countries in a position to inform partners. Biannual transparency reports under the formal measurement and verification arrangement of the Paris Agreement. At first, the Climate Action and Support Transparency Trainings, CASTT as it is rightly dubbed, Adaptation Academy is designed to provide training on the Paris Agreement with a focus on the adaptation reporting aspect of the enhanced transparency framework. The good thing for the needed integrated approach is that the Adaptation Academy will also aim to enhance technical capacity for adaptation, assessments, planning, policy frameworks, and coordination across ministries and government levels to act on climate. And the integration of all important cross-linked dossiers and policies will be part of the training. Ecosystems, infrastructure, transboundary considerations, and social, gender, and cultural equity issues. Specific topics will also explore aspects relating to agriculture, disaster risk reduction, energy, cities, coastal regions, and mountainous and high elevation areas. This truly can be the base of working on a locally based knowledge and an integrated approach to climate resiliency. Finally, for the stage of the national program project, it's critical that the training also includes planning, policy frameworks, coordination across ministries and government levels, working with the private sector, finance and cost-benefit analysis, vulnerability and risk assessment. So I and the Dutch government, we fully support this approach. And we will take time and effort of many, but it will be the sound basis for a resilient future of the African and Asian regions, a resilient future of the world. I call for a broader support to this initiative to be the base for enhancing and scaling up actions for adaptation and making countries resilient in the context of climate change impact. Current training partners in the Adaptation Academy, IHE Delft, Asia Institute of Technology, and the Oregon State University, with the Alliance for Global Water Adaptation, play a critical but also facilitating role. It would be great to collectively work on a good and sound curriculum and get more institutes and universities collaborating on this joint effort to bring knowledge on climate change, adaptation, and the solutions across the world. I want to applaud you again, partners. Thank you for all your work and really look forward to continue to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. OVINK, for your statement and for taking the statement on the train while you're on the move. I would now like to invite the Deputy Minister, Mr. David MAHLOBO, Ministry of Water and Sanitation from South Africa, for his remarks on the importance of global capacity building and cross-country exchanges. Mr. MAHLOBO, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Chair, and to all the esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of His Excellency, our President Cyril Ramaphosa, the government and the people of the Republic of South Africa, and especially warm words of gratitude and welcome from His Excellency, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Minister Senzo Mchunu. We are very pleased that we have been invited as South Africa and Africa to participate in this important initiative of the launch of the Climate Action Support Transparency Training Adaptation Academy. It's coming at an important time to contribute to issues that are facing humanity and the challenges of our time. This academy should be at the cutting edge in the field of research and development. It should be renowned globally and beyond various borders. It should inspire many countries and many experts beyond tangible imagination. Your Excellencies, we're meeting at a time when COVID-19 still remains with us. It has caused many untold sufferings. Lives have been lost, livelihoods and economies have been impacted beyond imagination. We are very humbled as South Africa and Africa to see collective response of humanity and the solidarity that has been so amazing, where we've been able to work together with the World Health Organization, the UN and other bodies. Equally, we're very saddened by the greed that is demonstrated by other nations who are practicing apartheid on vaccine production, where they are consuming more. At the very same time, we are very pleased to note the prowess of research and development and how science technology has evolved over time, wherein vaccines have been produced at the fastest pace. And we hope with the very same solidarity and collective effort and a demonstration of the powers of science and technology would to deal with. While we're actually dealing with the issues of COVID-19, there are a number of risks that we're looking at right now that we're starting to ignore, especially the burden of diseases, the inability to meet the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the issues of the targets around the question of the Paris Agreement on climate change, even the majority of investments that have been taken away on some of these important issues like water security, sustainable development goals, including climate change. Our actions in the next few months will determine whether the pandemic recovery plans will put the world on course to reach the globally agreed upon goals on climate change, on SDGs, so that we can be able to boost economic growth and social well-being of our people while we are protecting the environment. As humanity, we do have shared aspiration of right to life and dignity. More importantly, we all yearn for human rights, liberty, justice. If matters of water security and hunger, we will never be able to see peace. We will never be able to see justice. There are those that will not be able to enjoy the freedom and liberties. Inequalities have been intensified, especially within and amongst countries. The economic slowdown in 2020 has done very little to slow the climate change crisis. There's been a concentration of major greenhouse gases continued to be on an increase, while there's the global average on temperature, they are on a rise. We are at a critical juncture in human history. The decision and action we take today will have a momentous consequence for future generations. We must be able to work together using this academy to shape national policies for many countries, also guide international convention, also use it for the national visions, especially in our case, we have a Vision 2030 NDP. Africa is a Vision 2063. We also have the UN, US SDG goals, including the Paris Agreement. We must invest a lot in terms of capacity around funding, helping the most poorest of the poorest nation, but more importantly, let's invest in human capacity. While research and development and product and solution, the states must be the first uptakers. We must also leave nobody behind. Indigenous communities, respecting indigenous knowledges will be the most important aspect that we need to do. More importantly, we must build institutions that are resilient, that will be able to respond to the challenges of our time. Let us grab the opportunity, rise to the current and future challenges. There should be a decade of action, transformation, and recovery to achieve the climate change imperatives, including the Sustainable Development Goals. I wish to close with the following quotes by His Excellency, former President Nelson Mandela, the founder of a democratic South Africa, when he said, "In this new century, millions of people in the world's poorest countries remain imprisoned, enslaved. They are trapped in prison of poverty, hunger, unemployment, inequality. It is time to set them free. As long as poverty, injustice, and gross inequality exist in our world, none of us can truly rest." This academy is an academy that will produce knowledge. It's an academy that will be able to produce responses. Those who must participate and who wish to participate, they should not truly rest, because ours is to pass this earth to the next generation in a good condition. It will be an honor and a privilege that this esteemed body should have a consideration that this academy too should have a satellite office in Africa. This burden in our own continent will be felt by women and girl children. Once again, on behalf of His Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, we wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. MAHLOBO, for your remarks. I would now like to invite Dr. EMAN SOLIMAN, Head of Planning Sector, Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation from Egypt, to give her remarks on the national level assessments driving climate policies. Dr. SOLIMAN, you have the floor.
First, I'd like to thank all of you for giving me the chance to present our government and the role of the national assessment for the policies and the national plans, how we are taking care about the climate change. First, I'd like to also congratulate you for this very important academy, which really in deep need to evaluate the national plans and to have assessment for the programs and projects we are implemented. I believe Egypt in a good position, developing plans, taking care about climate change. A lot of programs are running on the ground to make the country have more resilience to climate change, but still we would like to learn more and more from the international organization and from international experience, how we be more resilience, how we be less vulnerable to any climate change. We face a lot of challenges in drought period, and also during a short time in winter, we face a lot of floods, flash floods in remote areas, which cause a lot of deaths. And we see a lot of countries around the world started to face the same situation like Egypt. So the capacity building will be a very good task, and we would like to engage not only the Ministry of Water Resources, but also all the stakeholders, all the ministries. Usually, the water resources planner is not the user of water, and also is not the causes of any climate actions. But we would like to assess our plans and also to find the gaps, start to build some capacity building programs for all technicians or technical people working in different sectors, in agriculture sector, in housing sector, and also in local municipalities. All those people should be at the same level, and also a lot of issues and a lot of size should be taken in our consideration while we're making assessment for our national plans, as we are a downstream country and we face a lot from mismanagement between the transboundary and shared water resources. And also we have a lot of problems due to the sea level rise at the northern part. We have problem from migration of youth, and we have problem of loss of employment. So all those kind of impact and effect should be included in the assessment of the National Adaptation Plan, and how we can reduce the risk and we make our people safe and secure from any climate vulnerability. I hope with this academy and with the tools that will be used for assessment for plans, we can find the gaps in our plan as a national level, and to start to put a good framework and a better policy and a better plan to fill any gaps from our existing plans. Let me congratulate you for this very important initiative and academy, and looking forward to work with all of you and to learn from the international experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Salman, for your remarks. I would now like to give the floor to our final speaker, Mr. JIGME of the Transparency Division at the UN Climate Change Secretariat on the next steps. Mr. JIGME, you have the floor.
Thank you, Baba, and greetings from Bonn. On behalf of all the partner organizations involved in this project, I would like to thank our distinguished panel members and speakers for your statement, but also more importantly, for your support to what is truly cooperative project of like-minded partners coming together. I believe that this is a concrete example of how actors from different backgrounds can come together to deliver on a common cause. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our audience for taking time to attend this launch event. With this event now, we have officially launched the Adaptation Academy, which will be catering to developing countries from different regions. And we are now all set to get this academy up and running. Next week, we will be starting the first courses for the African and Latin American region. And then 2 weeks later, we will be rolling out the third one, which will cater towards the Asia Pacific region. For this year's training, as much as we would have preferred to roll out this year's courses as in person, the current unfortunate circumstances do not allow us to do that. So the programs will be organized as virtual training courses this year. Through these 3 training courses, we will have trained almost 150 experts from diverse background who will bring, hopefully will bring this knowledge that they gained back to their home countries. And this is just a start. We plan to launch the application process for 2022 training, next year's training program in the first half of the year. And our aim is to really roll out the training program as in-person courses by mid next year. We expect the training courses to be around 3 to 4 week long in-depth training, and we hope to see many of you take part in this training program. The demand for such training program is there, and it is our hope that this academy contributes to development of capacity of developing countries to understand where risk and potentials exist and how to unlock them. In addition to imparting the know-how, knowledge, and skills, it is also our hope that this academy helps in creating a very vibrant network or community of practitioners, which then serves as a platform or tool for South-South, North-South exchange of lessons learned and experiences. And in my personal view, there is no effective learning method than learning from peers, from experiences, lessons learned, this thing. While the need for adaptation, climate adaptation training has never been greater, we need the support of global community to achieve ambitious goals of this academy. And we, to that end, we would actually welcome any partnership in the form of scholarship, partnerships, or other contributions. And if you are interested to get involved in this, we would please get in touch with us, and we should be able to provide you additional details on how you could possibly contribute to this ambitious project that we have in place. In closing, I really would like to thank our collaborating partners for their strong commitment and look forward to working with you on this very exciting venture. And finally, once again, thank you to all for attending today's event. So thank you very much. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you very much, JIGME, for your remarks. This is bringing us to almost the end of this launch event for today. I would like to give the floor back to Mr. OVAIS SARMAD of the UN Climate Change Secretariat for his, I guess, ultimate remarks today.
Thank you, Barbara. Not so much ultimate, but just wanted to, I've been listening very intently to all the speakers, and I was intrigued, and thank HENK for joining while he's on the move on the train, and all others from different parts of the world. And really, it's a great pleasure. And thank you very much for all your very considerate, thoughtful, and valuable comments and support to this training program. I just wanted to once again thank all of you on behalf of the entire Secretariat, both Executive Secretary, myself, and all of us here, and to say that how pleased we are to collaborate with you and the work that you, and appreciate the work that you're doing, and we'll continue to work very, very closely with you. It just reminds me to refer to Article 12 of the Paris Agreement, which talks about the inclusivity and public awareness and generating public awareness and reaching out and to all stakeholders, not just parties, but everybody. So I think this is all about operationalizing it, and then we are walking the talk there. So really and truly appreciating all that is happening here in this training program, and wish you all the very best. And again, as I said, hope to see you in Glasgow. In the meantime, keep safe. And to Bava and my colleagues, thank you very much for organizing and managing this very interesting event. Thank you. Thank you, Bava.
Thank you. Thank you very much, OVAIS, for your remarks. I would just like to invite all the speakers today to turn on your camera so we can take a group picture as much as we can. And again, to thank you for your participation here today and for your kind words. This brings us to an end of a full launch, and we look forward to working with all our partners and other new partners that may be interested in this initiative. So please kindly reach out to us. And yes, we hope that in the future we could all meet in person. So thank you again and have a great day. Bye.